Welcome back, everybody, to the deep dive. Today, we're going to do a deep dive into the world of global film and TV and media. We've got a pretty interesting mix of things to talk about today.
We do.
Production challenges,
Yeah.
streaming, the ups and downs of streaming.
Right.
Some really cool international formats to think about.
Interesting.
We've even got some thoughts from, the actual creators.
Oh, nice.
Some stuff from industry events, and then a bunch of projects that are in development.
All right, so what are we going to do with all of this stuff?
Well, that's the mission for today, is we're going to kind of look at all this stuff and try to, suss out some trends and some insights.
Yeah, make sense of it all.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's jump right in, I guess.
Sounds good.
So first up, let's head over to the UK.
Yeah.
There's a director over there, Peter Kosminsky.
Okay.
Maybe you've heard of him.
Yeah, he directed Overhaul.
Yeah, Overhaul, exactly.
Great show.
Really, really great show.
Yeah.
And he's saying that he thinks that UK TV drama is in crisis.
Really in crisis.
Yeah.
What's going on? What does he think?
Well, he says that the budgets
Okay.
are really being squeezed right now, and they're having to make a lot of cuts.
Yeah, that makes sense. Money's tight everywhere these days.
It is, and he used the second series of Overhaul as an example.
Sorry.
He said that they had to shoot a lot more of the scenes inside just to save money.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah, so his idea to fix this is that he thinks that streamers should pay a 5% levy on their revenues.
5%.
Yeah,
Doesn't-
to support UK cultural content.
That's an interesting idea.
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, he really thinks that if they don't do something like this,
Yeah.
that these great dramas that we all love to watch are going to disappear.
That would be a shame.
It would.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep an eye on.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so on the other side of the coin, you've got Netflix,
Oh.
who, has lots and lots and lots of money.
Yeah. Well, they're not afraid to spend it, that's for sure.
No, they are not. And we're going to talk about their new sci-fi film, The Electric State.
I've heard about this one, yeah.
Yeah, it's got Millie Bobby Brown and Chris Pratt in it.
Big star.
Huge stars.
Yeah.
And this movie apparently cost $275 million to make.
$275 million. Wow.
Yeah. But it sounds like it's not doing so well.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, the critics haven't really loved it.
Okay.
And it sounds like it's not getting quite as many viewers as some of their other big budget films.
So not the hit they were hoping for.
Right. But they're not really that worried about it.
They're not. Why not?
Well, they said that they take what they call a portfolio approach.
Portfolio approach.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So they basically said that they invest in a whole bunch of different stuff.
Okay.
And they know that some of it's going to be a hit
Uh-huh.
and some of it's not.
Okay.
But by doing a lot of different things, they're able to keep all of their subscribers happy.
Interesting. So it's like they're spreading the risk, not putting all the eggs in one basket.
Exactly.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, and also when you think about it, $275 million is a lot of money.
It is a lot of money.
But it's actually only about 1.5% of their annual budget.
Oh, wow. That puts it into perspective.
Yeah, they spend about $18 billion on content every year.
$18 billion. That's unbelievable.
It's wild.
So I guess they could afford to take a few risks.
Yeah, exactly.
But, it does make you wonder how they decide what to spend money on, and how they measure whether something's successful or not.
Yeah, I mean, with that much money at stake, you'd think they'd be a little more careful.
Yeah, you would think so.
Okay, so let's move on to something a little bit different.
Okay.
Warner Brothers has a new movie coming out called The Alto Knights.
The Alto Knights. Haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, and it's got Robert De Niro in it.
Oh, wow. Robert De Niro.
Okay, I'm listening.
Yeah, he actually plays two different characters in it.
Oh, wow, that's interesting.
So what's it about?
Well, it's a crime drama, and apparently it's based on a true story.
Okay.
And the word on the street is that it's got like a classic kind of feel to it.
Oh, so like old school storytelling.
And yeah,
The Alto
exactly. And it's directed by Barry Levinson.
Barry Levinson. Wow.
Yeah.
He's done some great films.
He has. And the writer is Nicholas Pileggi.
No way. The guy who wrote Goodfellas.
Yeah, so it's got like some serious talent behind it.
It does.
But it's going to have some tough competition at the box office.
Oh, yeah. What's it up against?
Well, it's opening against Disney's new Snow White movie.
Oh, wow. That's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, so we'll have to see how it does.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see how they both perform, with audiences these days.
It will.
Yeah.
So speaking of legendary actors,
Okay.
Samuel L. Jackson was talking about some career advice.
Oh, cool. I love Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah.
And he said that way back in 1994.
94.
Yeah. Bruce Willis gave him some advice.
Oh, wow. What did Bruce Willis tell him?
He told him that he needed to find a character that would really stick with people.
Right.
Like a character that he could come back to again and again.
Interesting.
And he said that he found that character
Yeah.
in Nick Fury.
Nick Fury from the Marvel movies.
Yeah.
Wow. He's been in a ton of those.
He has.
Yeah.
He's been in 12 Marvel films.
12.
Yeah.
And those have made a lot of money.
Those movies have made $12.8 billion.
$12.8 billion. That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy. And it's funny because that's kind of what Bruce Willis did too, right?
Yeah, like John McClane from Die Hard.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And he's had other, big characters that he's played multiple times.
That's right.
So it's interesting how that kind of became a pattern for both of them.
Yeah, it really shows you the power of having a signature role.
Yeah.
Something that audiences really connect with and want to see more of.
Totally. And it probably helps keep you working too.
Yeah. Job security in Hollywood never hurts.
No, it does not. Okay, so we've talked about the UK. We've talked about Hollywood now. Let's go to Norway.
Norway. Okay.
Yeah, they're doing some really interesting stuff over there with TV.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds like they're coming up with some really innovative TV formats.
That's cool. I don't think I've ever seen a Norwegian TV show.
Well, there's one called The Box.
The Box.
Yeah, and it's described as like a psychological reality show.
Oh, wow. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, and then there's another one called Dumbest Celebrity.
Dumbest Celebrity. What is that?
It's a celebrity quiz show.
Okay, so they're not afraid to be a little edgy over there?
No, it sounds like they're having some fun.
Yeah, good for them.
And apparently both of these shows got a really good reaction at the London screenings.
London screenings, what's that?
It's basically a big event where TV people from all over the world get together to buy and sell shows.
Oh, okay, so like a marketplace for TV shows.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool.
So the fact that these Norwegian shows were well received there is a good sign.
It means that people think they have potential to be successful internationally.
Right. And apparently companies like ITV Studios Norway are already shopping these shows around to different countries.
That's great. Yeah, it's always exciting to see new ideas and new voices breaking through.
It is.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, not all the news is good news.
Oh, no. What's going on?
Well, there have been a lot of layoffs in the media and entertainment industry.
Layoffs. That's not good.
No, it's not. And it's not just one or two companies. It's a lot of them.
Really? Like who?
Well, Warner Brothers Discovery,
Okay.
Disney,
Mm-hmm.
NBC Universal,
Right?
Paramount.
Wow. So all the big ones?
Yeah, and even Spotify and Netflix.
Netflix too.
Yeah.
Well, so it's not just traditional media, it's streaming too.
Right. And Deadline has been keeping track of all these layoffs.
They have. How many are we talking about?
Well, since 2023, there have been a lot.
A lot. Wow.
Yeah, and they're saying that it's due to a bunch of different factors.
Like what kind of factors?
Well, first, you've got all these mergers and acquisitions.
Right.
So when companies combine like that, there's always some overlap in jobs.
That makes sense.
And then you've got the streaming landscape, which is changing all the time.
Yeah, it's constantly evolving.
Exactly. And then advertising revenue is slowing down, which is impacting traditional media companies.
Right.
And then, of course, we've had those industry strikes.
Yeah, those have definitely shaken things up.
They have. And it's sad because all of this means that a lot of people are losing their jobs.
It is. Yeah, it's a tough time to be working in this industry.
It is. And it really makes you think about the future of work in this field.
It does. Yeah. What skills will be needed?
Yeah.
What kind of jobs will be available?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So on a lighter note,
Okay.
Deadline also put out their updated guide to 2025 TV premieres.
Oh, cool. That's always fun to look at.
It is. It gives you a good idea of what's coming up.
Yeah.
And it covers broadcast, cable, and streaming.
So everything.
Yeah, pretty much. So some of the highlights include the second season of House of the Dragon.
Can't wait for that one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
And then there's a new series called The Agency.
The Agency. What's that about?
Well, it's actually an adaptation of a French show called Call My Agent.
Oh, Call My Agent. I've heard of that.
Yeah, it was a big hit.
Yeah.
And this new version is set in Madrid.
Oh, cool. So they're taking it to Spain?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And it sounds like it's got that same mix of humor and drama as the original.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, it follows this talent agency.
Okay.
And all the crazy stuff that they have to deal with.
Yeah, managing celebrities can't be easy.
I know, right? And some of the actors in it are Javier Gutierrez,
Okay.
Manuela Velasco,
Uh-huh.
Carlos Bardem.
Oh, wow. Javier Bardem's brother.
Yeah, and Fiorella Falciano.
Okay, so
Yeah.
a good mix of established and up-and-coming talent.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Severance for a minute.
Severance.
Yeah.
That show's amazing.
It is so good. And Fast Company did a really cool article about the locations and the architecture.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, the look of that show is so distinct.
It is.
Yeah.
They actually filmed a lot of it at the Bell Labs Homedale complex.
The Bell Labs.
Yeah.
Wow, I had no idea.
And also at the Nyack College campus.
Oh, cool. So they're using real places.
Yeah, which is really interesting.
It is. Yeah, it adds a layer of authenticity to the show.
It does. And the production designer, Jeremy Hindle, and the location manager, Dan Wilkins, talked about how they use these spaces to reinforce the show's themes.
Like what kind of themes?
Well, themes of surveillance and control and disconnection.
Right, because that's what the show's all about. You know, those people who have their work lives and their personal lives totally separated.
Exactly. And the way they shot it in these locations really adds to that feeling.
Yeah, it's like the architecture itself is part of the story.
It is.
That's really cool.
So speaking of Apple TV Plus,
Yeah.
they're apparently changing their streaming strategy.
They are. How?
Well, they said that the success of Severance has shown them that they need to focus on quality over quantity.
Oh, interesting. So, like, make fewer shows, but make them really, really good.
Exactly like what HBO does.
Right. HBO's known for its high-quality shows.
Yeah, and they said that they weren't really prepared for Severance to be as big of a hit as it was.
Really? They weren't?
No.
Wow, so it caught them by surprise.
It did.
Okay.
But now they're developing a bunch of follow-up shows.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, there's one called Dope Thief.
Dope Thief. Okay.
And then there's Your Friends and Neighbors.
Okay.
And then Murderbot.
Murderbot. I wonder what that one's about.
Yeah, it sounds intriguing.
It does.
So it sounds like they're really trying to build on the success of Severance.
Yeah, it seems like they found a winning formula.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how this strategy plays out in the long run.
It will. Yeah, it's a bold move.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next one is really cool.
Okay.
There's a documentary called Secret Mall Apartment.
Secret Mall Apartment? What is that?
Well, it's about this group of artists in Rhode Island.
Okay.
And back in 2003, they built a secret apartment inside the Providence Place Mall.
No way inside the mall.
Yeah.
How did they do that?
I don't know, but they did.
That's crazy.
I know, it's a crazy story. And the directors, Jeremy Workman and Paul Murphy, made this documentary about it.
Okay.
And apparently they didn't have a big budget.
Okay.
So they kind of did it their own way.
Interesting.
Yeah. And they use a lot of different styles in the film.
Oh, cool. So it's not your typical Talking Heads documentary.
No, it sounds like it's very creative.
Yeah.
And the documentary looks at some really interesting themes.
Like what?
Like rebelling against consumerism.
Okay.
And the power of art. And how art can transform spaces and bring people together.
Interesting.
And they do it with a mix of humor and grit and some really poignant reflections.
Wow, that sounds like a powerful film.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about YouTube for a second.
Me too, Bart.
So apparently they're trying to turn their creators into TV producers.
Really? TV producers?
Yeah.
How are they going to do that?
Well, they're realizing that more and more people are watching YouTube on their TVs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, TVs are so much bigger and better than they used to be.
They are, and so YouTube wants to make sure that their content is optimized for that experience.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and so they're introducing all these new features.
Like what?
Well, first they're introducing the idea of seasons.
Seasons like TV shows?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So creators can make content that feels more like a TV show.
Okay.
And then they're also developing AI dubbing tools.
AI dubbing.
Yeah, so creators can easily translate their content into other languages.
Oh, wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and then they're even going to start using QR codes.
QR codes?
Yeah, so people can easily watch content on their TVs.
Oh, interesting. Like scan the code with your phone and then it pops up on your TV.
Exactly.
That's clever.
Yeah, and all of this is because YouTube is seeing a huge surge in people watching their content on TV screens.
So it's a smart move for them to try and cater to that audience.
It is, and it's working because last year in 2024, they made $50 billion in revenue.
50 billion.
Yeah. They're even introducing a new feature called Hype.
Hype.
Yeah, which is designed to help smaller creators get more exposure.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, so it really does feel like YouTube is becoming the new Hollywood.
It does, yeah. They've got the money, the reach, and now they're really focusing on the TV experience.
It's pretty remarkable.
It is, yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about an adaptation that's coming to Peacock.
Okay.
It's called Long Bright River.
Long Bright River. Oh.
Yeah, and it's based on a novel by Liz Moore.
Okay, I'm not familiar with that one.
Well, the showrunner is Nikki Toscano.
Okay.
And she's the one who adapted it for TV.
All right.
And it's a crime drama.
Okay.
And it stars Amanda Seyfried.
Oh, cool. Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah, and she plays a cop who's searching for her missing sister.
Right.
And all of this is happening against the backdrop of the opioid crisis.
Oh, wow. So it's dealing with some pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, it is. And Toscano actually has a personal connection to this story.
She does?
Yeah, she said that her family has been affected by addiction.
Oh, wow. So it's a personal story for her.
Yeah, and she said that she was very conscious of not wanting to glamorize addiction.
That's good. Yeah, it's important to be sensitive to that.
It is.
Yeah.
And she's done some other great work, too.
Like what?
Well, she worked on The Offer
Okay.
and Hunters.
Oh, cool. So she's got some good experience.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah.
Okay, so on a completely different note,
Okay.
there's this new thriller coming out called Locked.
Locked. Okay.
And Bill Skarsgård is in it.
Bill Skarsgård from It.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Okay.
And this movie sounds really intense.
Oh, so?
Well, he plays a man who's trapped alone in a car.
Trapped in a car?
Yeah, and he has amnesia.
Oh, wow. That sounds terrifying.
Yeah, it does. And the director is David F. Sandberg.
David F. Sandberg? I don't know that name.
Well, he's known for his work in the horror genre.
Oh, okay. So he knows how to create suspense.
Yeah, and the company that's producing it is called 21 Laps.
21 Laps. Okay.
Yeah, and the crazy thing is they shot the whole movie chronologically.
Chronologically.
Yeah, so they filmed it in the order that the events happen in the story.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I've never heard of a movie being shot like that.
Yeah, and they did it all in one car.
Wow. So it was like a real-time experience for him.
Yeah, and Skarsgård said that it was really tough, both mentally and physically.
Yeah, I bet being stuck in a car for that long would be pretty intense.
I know, and he said that it was all on his shoulders.
Right, because he's the only one in it.
Exactly. So it's a real showcase for his acting abilities.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see how that one turns out.
Me too.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about some executive moves.
Executive moves. Okay.
Yeah. So first up, Matt Owens, who was the co-showrunner of One Piece on Netflix.
Oh, wow. One Piece. That's a big show.
It is. Well, he's stepping down.
He is why.
He said it's for mental health reasons.
Oh, wow. That's understandable.
Yeah, it's a really demanding job.
It is, yeah. Especially on a show that big.
Yeah, but he's not leaving the show completely.
He's not.
No, he's going to stay on in a supporting role.
Oh, okay. So he's still involved, just not in such a high-pressure position.
Exactly.
That's good. Yeah. It's good that he's prioritizing his well-being.
Yeah, it is.
All right. What else is going on?
Well, there's been a big shakeup at Endeavor.
Endeavor, the talent agency.
Yeah.
Okay. What happened?
Well, first of all, Patrick Whitesell is leaving the company.
Patrick Whitesell. Wow. He's a big name.
He is.
Yeah.
And apparently he's going to launch his own media investment platform.
Oh, interesting. So he's going out on his own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, Endeavor is going private.
Going private.
Yeah, a company called Silver Lake is going to buy them.
Wow. So that's a big change for them.
It is.
Yeah.
And Ari Emanuel, who's the CEO,
Uh-huh.
he's stepping down.
He's stepping down.
Yeah, but he's going to stay on the board.
Okay, so he's not completely out of the picture.
Right.
Wow. So big changes at Endeavor.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens next.
It is, yeah. They're a major player in the industry.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's finish up with a quick look at some of the festivals and markets that have been happening.
Festivals and markets, okay.
Yeah, so first up, CPH.dox, which is the Copenhagen International Documentary Film Festival.
CPH.dox, okay.
Yeah, well, they had a double feature premiere from Ai Weiwei.
Oh, wow. Away the artist.
Yeah.
Cool.
So one of the films was called Animality.
Animality. Okay.
Yeah, and it's about the relationship between humans and animals.
Interesting.
And then the other one was called Ai Weiwei's Turandot.
Ai Weiwei's Turandot. So it's his take on the opera.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That sounds pretty amazing.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
And then over at Cinevestor.
Cinevestor.
Yeah, which is a film finance and content market.
Okay.
Well, Netflix's film Black Warrant got a lot of attention there.
Black Warrant. Okay. Yeah, I'm not familiar with that one.
Well, apparently it's doing really well on Netflix.
Oh, cool. So it's a hit.
Yeah, and it seems like this event really helped to boost its profile even more.
That's great. Yeah, it's always good to see films getting the recognition they deserve.
It is.
Yeah.
And then at Series Mania,
Series Mania, what's that?
it's an international TV festival
Okay.
that happens in France.
All right.
Well, Constantin Film was there.
Constantin film.
Yeah, and they're hoping that their show, War of the Kingdoms, will find success on streaming.
Oh, interesting. So it didn't do so well in theaters.
No, it didn't.
Okay, but they're hoping they'll find a new audience on streaming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And there was also a premiere of a show called The Danish Woman.
The Danish Woman. Okay.
Yeah, and it stars Trine Derholm.
Trine Derholm. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then Oliver Masucci, who was in a show called The German.
The German. All right.
Yeah, well, he was talking about how difficult it was to film that show.
Oh, really? Why?
Because it was filmed during the Israel-Hamas conflict.
Oh, wow. That must have been really intense.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a very challenging experience.
It does, yeah.
And back over at cph.dox,
Okay.
there was a documentary called Sanatorium.
Sanatorium, what's that about?
Well, it's about this facility in Ukraine called Kujelnik.
Kujelnik, okay.
Yeah, and it looks at themes of decay and political allegory.
That sounds pretty heavy.
It does, yeah. It's a very thought-provoking film.
Okay.
And finally, the Peruvian drama Reynas.
Reynas.
Yeah, well, that won Best Film at the 2025 Swiss Film Awards.
Oh, wow. Congrats to them.
Yeah, it's great to see films from all over the world being recognized.
It is, yeah. It shows you the power of storytelling, you know, how it can transcend borders and cultures.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick before we wrap up, let's just glance at what's in development.
In development, all right. What's coming down the pipeline?
Well, Sony is rebooting the Resident Evil film franchise.
The Resident Evil again?
Yeah.
Okay.
And they've cast Austin Abrams in the lead role.
Austin Abrams, okay.
Yeah, and then Anthony Michael Hall.
Oh, wow. Anthony Michael Hall.
Yeah.
From those 80s movies.
Yeah.
Wow, blast in the past.
I know, right? Well, he's going to be in an indie horror film called The Halloween Store.
The Halloween Store.
Yeah, and Thomas Dekker and Nicholas Hamilton are also going to be in it.
Okay, cool.
And then Sarah Pidgeon
Okay.
is going to play Carolyn Bessette in the next season of American Love Story on FX.
American Love Story, okay.
Yeah, it's going to be about JFK Jr. and Carolyn.
Oh, wow. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is. And unfortunately, the animated sequel to Smallville.
Oh, yeah. They were working on that.
Yeah, well, it's on hold.
It is why.
Because Warner Brothers is trying to reboot the whole franchise.
Oh, wow. So they're starting from scratch.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Okay.
But there's good news for fans of Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah, there are rumors of a revival.
Really?
Yeah, and J.T. Molnar and Roy Lee are attached to produce.
Okay.
And apparently Glenn Powell might be involved too.
Glenn Powell from Top Gun.
Yeah.
Maverick.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay,
Yep.
so they're aiming high.
Yeah. It sounds like it could be really cool.
It does, yeah.
And then finally, Tourism Australia is launching a new TV series.
Oh, cool. A travel show.
Yeah, and it's going to be narrated by Rachel Griffiths.
Rachel Griffiths. Wow, she's got a great voice.
She does. It's perfect for a travel show.
Yeah.
And that's called Experience Australia.
Experience Australia.
Okay. Yeah. So lots of cool stuff in development.
There is, yeah, a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then just two quick deals to mention.
Eels, okay.
Yeah. So Emmy Rossum just signed with WME.
WME, the talent agency.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then VA Media, which is an Australian company.
Okay.
They're expanding into the U.S.
Oh, wow. They're opening an office in L.A.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's always good to see companies growing and expanding.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's it for today.
Wow, we covered a lot of ground.
We did.
Yeah.
But I think it's really interesting to see how all of these stories are connected.
It is. Yeah, there are definitely some common threads running through all of this.
Yeah, like the fact that everyone's trying to figure out how to make money in this new landscape.
Right, the old models are breaking down and new ones are emerging.
Exactly. And then there's this tension between wanting to create high-quality content, but also having to be mindful of budgets.
Yeah, that's a constant struggle.